entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey now everyone, Matt Haywood here from entertainmentbuddha.com and the Star Wars Time Show podcast. How's it going? Hopefully you're ready for some Solo, a Star Wars trailer breakdown action, because that's exactly what I'm about to do with the latest trailer that released on April 8th. So without further ado, let's get down with breaking down the latest Solo trailer. Alright, so the new trailer opens up with a night shot of what I'm guessing is Corellia, and that's because, as we can see sprinkled throughout these opening scenes, we get to see the Imperial fleet being built, which I believe Corellia is known as a shipbuilding planet. So I think this is going to be set in the past, in terms of young Han's past, and we're just going to see him kind of walking through the streets. We know he's kind of a vagabond hustler, and this looks like where he's picking up the job that we've seen with him in his white coat with Qi'ra early on, running from the stormtroopers in the previous trailers. The trailer then flashes forward a bit as Qi'ra, who's played by Emilia Clarke, is heard talking to Han, basically setting the stage of, why are you here? You looking for revenge? You looking for money? You looking for power? And we're getting shots of Enfys Nest, which is this character right here, who will be one of the antagonists and is a female badass. Trust me, that was leaked last week. And again, this is just a shot from scenes we've seen in the other teasers of Han kind of having a duel with Enfys Nest and her faction. So obviously that enemy character, that bad guy, is going to have a major impact on young Han's journey throughout this film, which is going to see him, you know, teaming up with Beckett, Chewie, young Lando, so on and so forth. So really the early parts of this trailer just setting up again the overarching plot of Solo. So as Qi'ra's questioning Han about what's he here for, is he here for money, guess who we see? We're introduced to Lando, who is gambling, and it looks like he's playing Sabak. And lo and behold, young Han shows up, and you can tell by the look on his face, he's essentially saying, hey, can I get in? So I don't know if this is the infamous game where Han's going to win the Falcon from Lando, or if this is just their first meeting, and this is how Han plans to meet Lando, and that should get into a Sabak game with him. So as Qi'ra wraps up her narration to Han, we get to see them, I'm guessing, meeting in the present. If you remember, these two characters have known each other for years and have kind of faded in and out of each other's lives. We don't know if they have a love tryst or whatnot. But something is going to bring Han back to Qi'ra, and it's probably going to be this job that Beckett offers him. One thing I want to note, if you look at this shot here, it looks like Alden is a little bit shorter than I expected him to be. I mean, Han Solo, I believe, was over 6 foot. If you know Emilia Clarke, who's playing Qi'ra, she's a fairly tall or short actress, and Alden Ehrenreich isn't much taller than Emilia, at least in this shot. So I don't know what that's all about, but it looks like Alden may also be a bit short to be Han Solo, let alone be able to capture Harrison Ford's rendition of him, which we've heard rumors about. Alright, so the trailer expands upon a scene we saw in the teasers. It's this beach scene. We now know that Chewie's a part of this meeting, but this is where Han kind of talks with Beckett, who's played by Woody Harrelson, to talk about a job and getting in on a job. And like, I just want to get in. Come on, it's going to help me out. And it now appears that Beckett's job is going to be for Dryden Boss, who's played by Paul Bettany, who is like a big-time, super-duper mob type of person in the Star Wars universe during this young Han Solo movie. At this point, the trailer moves into quick action beats, but this shot in particular is new, and I wanted to mention it because I believe this is Han still as an Imperial. If you note that armor there, it looks very similar to the armor we see General Veer's wearing when the Hoth attack is taking place. You know, he's the guy driving the big AT-ATs, and you can see he has that same armored chest plate. So I believe that shot is probably taking place maybe on Mimbom, and Han is still in the Empire, if you will. He's still part of the Imperial Academy, but this is probably going to lead to, or this argument is probably going to lead to him getting locked up and eventually finding Chewie and so on and so forth. So the next new shot we get is of this campfire scene. It features Han, Beckett's there, Val's there, is played by Thandie Newton. I believe Chewie is there too. And this, I think, is taking place on Vandor, which is the snowy planet we've seen the train heist taking place on. I'm just not sure if this is the main heist that Dryden Boss hired them all for, or if this is more of a play-in heist for Han and Chewie to see if they are worth Beckett adding to his team for the big heist. Now we get a shot of Han and Chewie in a cantina, because that's what these two do. I believe that, clearly they know each other at this point. And I think this may be them looking for young Lando to potentially ask about using a ship for the heist that Beckett is getting them all together for. And in this shot, like I said, the trailer just starts going bam, 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 hitting you with all sorts of edits and jumping back and forth. But anyways, this, I do believe, is on Vandor, and Chewie and Han are headed somewhere, probably the location where they're going to steal whatever they're sent there to steal. And the fact that these two are kind of doing it on their own is leading me to believe that the Vandor heist may in fact be the play-in heist, as I just previously mentioned, and not the overarching heist that Beckett is getting the super team together of, Kira, Han, Lando, Val, so on and so forth. So I think this is Han and Chewie's play-in heist. Or it looks like they're visiting the neighbors of Wakanda up there in the snowy mountains of Africa. So these next series of shots, I do believe, are follow-ups to the one we just saw before we saw Han and Chewie in this wintry scene. And this is them looking for Lando to hire as a pilot. You can see Kira is actually involved. They do find them, and yes, Glover is acting like a pimp. The line right here is awesome. He basically says, if you've heard anything about the Lando, it's true about the Lando. So they're at this gathering place of scum and villainy, if you will, to find Lando, just like Luke and Ben were at the Mos Eisley Cantina looking for pilots in Han and Chewie to kind of help them fly around. Here we get to see Leet and her personality. She's definitely not like a C-3PO protocol droid, because she will kill people if they piss them off. So it was kind of neat to see her and hear her talk for the first time, although Leet sounds very much like Captain Phasma. Give it a listen and tell me I'm wrong. And we get to see the relationship here. Again, Leet is kind of an autonomous and fully aware sentient droid. She's not a bitch, if you will, like C-3PO. She has her own personality, does her own thing, and that's how her co-pilot Lando treats her. So it was good to see these two kind of interact. So we got some of the dynamic between Leet and Lando, because we have heard about it. Right, next series of shots, we get to see some new looks at the Falcon. This is Lando's Falcon again. It's got the blue accents and the fully formed front. We also get to see some shots of the interior, and you can tell Han is just loving, he's salivating to be in this ship, and he wants it. Notice it is cleaner because it is Lando's. We then go back to the scene between Han and Beckett on Vandor, where Beckett pretty much says, like, yo, if you get in with me, you're pretty much in this life forever. Essentially saying, if you're going to be a smuggler and work with me, you're never going to escape that past, and it is going to become you, which is pretty foretelling for the character of Han. I'll be honest, I grabbed this still just because I thought it was awesome looking. I mean, it's the back end of the Falcon firing up, something we've never seen, going from the red to the blue glow. But it kind of was a part of a montage where Lando is essentially showing off his ship and how awesome and fast it is to his new compatriots, especially Han, who he's basically like, yo, sit down, because this bitch is quick. And now we get some new looks at Vandor and the train heist, which we're just calling it right now. Great action here. This is obviously going to be a huge action sequence. Still can't tell if this heist is going to be the big overall one or just the play-in heist, like I said. But we did get a shot of these new range troopers, which just look like pimps. I mean, they got their fur coats, they got the cool-looking helmet. So I wanted to grab a shot of those. But they're aiming at Beckett, and this is from a continuation of the train heist that we've seen in the teasers. The trailer then offered a shot of this kind of Venus-looking planet. I'm not sure if this is going to be Iridium or Kessel, maybe. Could be Kessel. But I'm thinking this may be the planet that the super team of smugglers is going to pull off the heist for Dryden Boss, and not Vandor and the train. I'm really thinking that the train, and I know I keep going back and forth, sorry. The train heist is Han's play-in heist, wherever this location is, that's going to be the main heist with, Kira, Lando, Beckett, Val, and the whole gang. So as the trailer starts to wind down, shit gets really chaotic. We're treated to this shot of Lando. I mean, he does pull up his blaster after this particular still. But it seems like once the team lands wherever they're going, they're going to be ambushed or put under siege. Because we're going to get a few more shots of this particular moment that kind of correlate to they're under attack from something. So like I mentioned, the trailer really starts bouncing around the movie's main action set pieces. We know there's going to be something going on with Lando and them on this planet. There's this scene right here where it looks like we're having an Empire at ST dropped into the fray. Now I believe this shot, because of the tone, is actually Mimban, and I think that's where Han's going to be sent to when he is put into prison for doing whatever he did in the academy, and that's where he's going to find Chewie, so on and so forth. So as the action jumps around, we get a shot of Val doing what Val does, and that's being a badass with guns. I do believe this is on Vandor just because of the snow. While these action shots are taking place, we get a bit of advice from Beckett that he's given to Han, where he essentially says, listen to me, buddy. You'll never be disappointed if you just always figure that everyone you know, regardless how close to you, will betray you in life. Which clearly leaves a long-lasting impact on the character of Han, because even when we come to meet him in A New Hope, you can tell that he doesn't trust anyone, he's always in it for himself, and that clearly came from the tutelage of Beckett. Alright, placing this shot's a tricky one for me, because clearly there's two Wookiees here. One is Chewie, the other someone Chewie obviously is close with, so this could be during when Han saves Chewie from bondage, if that's what's going to be, to allow them to form their lifelong friendship. Or it could be later on the film and Chewie's going back to a place to save other Wookiees now that he has some compatriots. I don't know, but either way, you notice he doesn't have his bandoliers on, so I do believe this is the big, infamous, or iconic, if you will, freeing of Chewie from his bondage, so he pledges a life debt to Han type of moment. Not gonna lie, this is another one of those, wow, this just looks really awesome shots. But it's a continuation of scene we've seen from the other teasers when the Falcon is in pursuit by Imperial forces. You're just getting a better look at this new type of TIE fighter, which is kind of a standard TIE fighter, but with more of a TIE bomber type of fuselage. So it'll be interesting to see how this TIE fares in battle. I'm guessing Han's gonna be able to outrun him, but it's a cool looking shot, cool looking TIE fighter, if anything else. So the exchange in this scene is pretty insightful for possibly figuring out when it's taking place, but essentially they're running away from something, and Chewie's talking in his Wookiee language, and Han's like, what do you mean, what do you know about flying? And Chewie basically says, I'm 190 years old, to which Han is surprised. So at this point in time, Han doesn't know how old Chewie is, and doesn't even know that Chewie is an expert mechanic and pilot. So it seems like this is early on in their introduction, or early on in their friendship. But the curious thing is they're in the Falcon. So I thought that Han gets the Falcon after he knows Chewie. So who knows? Either way, the two clearly do not know each other's skill sets at this point in the movie, and in this scene in particular. So this shot ties back to one we saw earlier on where Han is facing down Enfys Nest and her gang. Again, they have the Falcon already, so I can't put the timelines together of when is happening when, or what is happening when in this movie. I guess that's what trailers are all about, and this one has done a good job at throwing us off the scent. Alright, as the action intensifies, we see Dryden Boss, played by Paul Bettany. Remember, he's the big mob boss, gangster lord here that hires Beckett and his team. Lighting up some sort of brass knuckles that kind of have that laser energy like the Praetorian Guards from The Last Jedi, and it looks like he's just beating the shit out of his own place. So not sure if he's just frustrated and doing his best Kylo and Ren impression, or if he is under attack. Either way, he's got some pretty cool weapons, which makes sense considering he's probably rich as all hell. Now, as the trailer winds down, it touches back on what I'm now going to call the Battle of Mimban. There's a Mimban trooper, that's why I'm calling it the Battle of Mimban. And I'm doubling down. I think this is going to be the breakout, the saving of Chewie at the hands of young Han, who's also incarcerated for pissing off the Empire. But you can just see this is, again, Chewie beating the hell out of these Mimban troopers. He's spiking them with one arm. So like I said, I'm doubling down. This is going to be the Battle of Mimban. This is going to be what gets Chewie free, and what's going to ultimately lead to him and Han being lifelong friends, because Han will be the one to free him, therefore making Chewie pledge a life debt to him. Now we also return to this other shootout, and this is the one that I first mentioned when we saw young Lando standing there looking all debonair but concerned. So it looks like whenever the super crew lands somewhere for their super job that, they were hired to do by Beckett, who got the job from Dryden Boss, looks like some shit's going to hit the fan and they're going to be in a firefight within moments of landing wherever this heist is going to take place. So I'm assuming that's why they're getting shot at. And the trailer ends with an exciting little action set piece that's going to take place on Vandor, and it's going to be in another time Han saving Chewie. Looks like Chewie's going to fall. He's going to be sitting there. He's going to smack his head into a rock, but I guarantee you Han saves him. Because you know what? Chewie makes it all the way to Star Wars The Last Jedi, so he doesn't die. Anyways, I'm hoping this is not the act that makes Chewie pledge a life debt to Han. I think that'd be ridiculous. I do think it should be the act of Han saving Chewie from bondage that's going to pledge that life debt. And at this point in time, they're already friends. They're already, buddies, and they're already looking out for each other, as you can see with Han yelling Chewie and trying to save him. Alright, and that's a wrap on our breakdown of the latest and very plot-heavy trailer for Solo's Star Wars story. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you thought I got some things right. I can tell you right now I'm probably 90% wrong on my speculations, but I think 10% of the stuff in there, of what I just said, of all that hot air, probably has some value to it. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to tune in to the Star Wars Time Show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you can get your podcasts for the most part, where myself and my co-host will be breaking down this trailer even more in-depthly in our latest episode. So, thanks for watching. Matt Haywood here, signing off for EntertainmentBoo.com, where we make you better Star Wars geeks, one Star Wars trailer breakdown post at a time.
EntertainmentBoo.com